Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Social activist Timothy James has given the Allen Chastanet-led administration a failing grade where leadership is concerned, and as he said, the Prime Minister's priorities are all wrong. James said although the Prime Minister attempted to apologize, it will only be accepted if he steps down. James also gave a stark warning to the St. Lucia Labour Party, saying that they are not necessarily the knights in shining armor. He said they have some serious feats to achieve in order to do better.
Social activist Timothy James has never been one to hold back on his thoughts and stands by his words. This week was no different as he gave his opinion on the performance of the government of St. Lucia so far. The outspoken James said the Allen Chastanet administration has failed miserably at the task of leading the nation over the past 4 years that they've been in office. James stressed that he does not support any political party in St. Lucia. However, since the island is a two-party nation, he will work with what he has. He said the party currently in charge is not working for the good of the entire nation.
For one, I think the UNWP has provided dismal representation, leadership. In fact, there is no leadership. I think that the United Workers' Party has failed in its commitment to create an atmosphere of opportunity. I think that policy-wise, the United Workers' Party has totally isolated the grassroots persons and put in place or foster policies that should, or in most cases, profit the economic elite, the business class, and so therefore, when the majority is, or the majority happen to be grassroots persons, and when you shut off grassroots persons from the economy, either systemically, you know what I'm telling you, or through policies or lack of policies, that speaks to the destruction and the retardation, of any society.
The social activist acknowledged the Prime Minister's call for forgiveness on Father's Day. He said this should not be mistaken for an apology. However, in any case, there is only one proper way that the PM can genuinely apologize to the nation.
Administrators are not forgiven for maladministration and mismanagement. Administrators are changed. You know what I mean? So if the Prime Minister is going to admit that he did wrong, or if he's going to apologize for doing wrong, although I'm of a different view, he never apologized, then he have to admit that his tenure is over and that the cost of maladministration is being out of government. Now let us deal with that interview. The Prime Minister, the Prime Minister never apologized. The Prime Minister said, if I offended you, I am sorry. Meaning, to apologize, you must first acknowledge wrong on your part. He said if, meaning that to him, he did nothing wrong, but if you are of the view that he did something wrong, he's sorry. And in that tone, you know what I'm telling you, the Prime Minister was undermining, the Prime Minister was treating persons with contempt, and he was being very much condescending.
With that said, James indicated that the other party, the St. Lucia Labour Party, is not off the hook either. He said the eyes of the people are finally opening, and so the SLP has a mammoth task ahead in order to win the trust of the nation.
The St. Lucia Labour Party, given the two structures, is the next option. But the St. Lucia Labour Party need to understand that when next persons go to the polls, and this one they must take seriously, we are not going to the polls to change a government. We are going to the polls to change the modus operandi, the manner in which governments operate. And there must be a commitment to that. You see, there are certain things that the St. Lucia Labour Party must embark on. You know what I'm telling you? For instance, local elective government. We must. If local elective government is to spearhead community development and community necessities, it cannot be an extension of central government. You do not get growth and innovation where there is not criticism.
James made an appeal to St. Lucians, saying the idea is not to vote and then leave it all in the hands of those voted in. Rather, the idea is to vote and to be the monitors of your vote. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
Amidst talks and efforts to slowly return the island to a state of normalcy, the island's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, revealed that 3 new cases of COVID-19 have been discovered. Whilst the cases have been contained, the resurgence of the virus now begs the question whether it is wise to reopen the borders.
Just when you thought it was all clear, COVID-19 reared its ugly head once again, or should that be 3 times again, in St. Lucia. On Thursday evening, the island's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, broke the news that 3 new cases have been discovered. All 3 cases were imported. Dr. Belmar-George gave the details.
On Thursday, July 2nd, 2020, St. Lucia recorded 3 positive cases of COVID-19. The individuals are a 44-year-old female, a 32-year-old male, and a 36-year-old female. All are returning nationals who previously worked on cruise lines. Upon return to St. Lucia in June, they were all placed in institutional quarantine and were tested in keeping with the testing strategy for repatriated cruise line workers. Upon receipt of these results, all 3 individuals have been transferred to the respiratory hospital for isolation and related supportive care. They are all currently doing well. The risk to people in quarantine and the staff of the facility is assessed as low, given the infection prevention and control guidelines in place at the state-managed quarantine sites. These recently confirmed cases again proves the importance of quarantine as a measure to minimize the risk of transmitting COVID-19 to protect the health of every individual within our country. We once again appeal that everyone supports our national effort to minimize the threat of COVID-19 by adhering to the protocols that have been put in place. We recognize that many of the measures in place may seem inconvenient to the public. However, we strive to ensure public health and safety. We continue to advise on the importance of maintaining the standard recommendations for infection prevention and control.
Since the news broke that the island would be reopening the borders come June 4, 2020, concerns have been high that it would lead to a resurgence of cases. These concerns were worsened when it was revealed that the borders would be opened to the United States, the current epicenter of the disease. Both the CMO and the island's health minister, Mary Isaac, have assured the nation that they need not worry as measures are in place to keep the matter at bay through the strict quarantine measures currently in existence. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
The Central Statistics Office has successfully completed and released a report of the 2020 St. Lucia National Crime Victimization Survey. During the presentation of the report, Minister with responsibility for the department, Guy Joseph, underscored that authorities are facing a new age of criminal activity and that it is pivotal to commission legislation to meet these developing trends. Jacques Wooding has more.
Modern-day issues require modern-day solutions. This was the basis upon which Minister with responsibility for the Central Statistical Department, Guy Joseph, delivered his address on the findings of the St. Lucia National Crime Victimization Survey. Joseph, noting that a significant level of crime now takes place via virtual platforms under mass anonymity, says it is time that legislation is adapted to the modern-day predator.
And I think that the approach towards dealing with it also needs to change, because no longer can the policies and the approaches taken to crime fighting many years ago may not be applicable today because of the age of the internet. Just as we are meeting virtually, I believe that there are virtual crimes that can be perpetrated in one way or the other.
Joseph underscored the importance of such surveys, noting that authorities must first understand the nature of crime in order to effectively address its different forms.
If we are not sure of what is happening, how do we prescribe the right approach towards crime fighting? So it is important for us to understand what is it that drives the process, where are the targeted areas that we should approach.
This survey will be used by local authorities to guide future crime legislation to ensure that law enforcement holds the necessary tools to deal with various emerging avenues of crime. Jacko Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Artists and musicians are among those being encouraged to apply for the Government of St. Lucia's Income Support Program, with payments to begin next week. The program is open to all sole traders such as vendors, fishermen, barbers, hairdressers, taxi drivers, and more who have lost their income due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Director of Implementation in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nancy Charles, says already they have received over 2,000 applications.
A lot of those persons were not NIC registered or NIC contributors, and because of COVID and the fallout, you find a lot of persons now became on the breadline. And so the government instituted the income support program to provide a relief for them. It is a fixed amount of $500, and we will be paying for April, May, and June.
Applicants must electronically complete and submit the relevant application form, which is accessible on the Government of St. Lucia website. That's www.govt.lc.
And you will see income support program. You just click on it and the form pops up. It's very basic information. We're asking you your name, your address, a copy of your ID, and very critically, we're asking you to upload some information or some supporting document that will verify what you said you were doing. So if you say you're a taxi driver, you can upload a copy of your taxi driver's license or membership of any association. If you're a vendor, you can upload perhaps a letter from the Vendors Association or your membership. Maybe if you're a hairdresser or somebody like that, you can upload a copy of your rental agreement if you're renting from somebody or you have a lease, you know, but something to certify and to verify that you say who you are.
A team from the Income Support Program is set to go into the communities to help with the application process. A schedule will be disseminated in short order. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.